Music is like root work, magic that's pulled up from the soil. It echoes on the stony hills and spins in the tall grass by the sea. It soothes the savage beast and pierces the soul of a man. Music is that old witchcraft. It writes your true name on a scrap of paper and makes you dance undignified like King David. This is the Hoodoo Music Podcast.
This is the Hoodoo Music Podcast, episode 11. Guest on this episode is Brother Oliver. It's a three-piece acoustic rock band. I didn't even know how to describe your sound. Guys, why don't you just go ahead and describe your sound to me? What would you call it?
Well, I officially call it a folk rock, psych rock blend. I just think of like a Wild West film.
Tarantino.
Like a Tarantino rock style, you know?
Like Neil Young on steroids.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Okay. That's a good way to describe it. Why don't you introduce yourselves for me?
Well, my name is Andrew. My brother's Steven.
Hey.
Him and me started the band a couple years ago, and then we brought on Devin Taylor here. He plays the drums for us, and he does a good job, too.
Hello.
Yeah, he's
Devin's
been
a
with
cool
us
guy.
for about 8 months.
Yeah.
We're going on a year now.
Yeah.
Going on a year.
The band's been around for about 3 years, but I was living in Michigan, Andrew was living in South Carolina, and
So
we
me-
finally reunited probably 6 months ago.
Yeah, so me and Andrew were playing a couple solo shows.
Yeah, this band has it's a good story, looking back, because we just kept pushing. Yeah, Steven was in Michigan for a few years, and we still put out a couple records. He was traveling back and forth, and
Finishing
You
school.
were finished, yeah.
he was finishing school, and I was playing a lot of solo shows, and
Cool.
then yeah, we just but finally, we're all here now, and it feels really good.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that a little bit more in depth a little bit later. Actually, why don't we jump straight into some music? This first song, what's it called, and is there kind of a story behind it?
It's called "Writing on the Wall," and it's something. It's actually an older song. It was on our record Kudzu, and it really, the chorus is "There's reasons for the writing on the wall," and it really, to me, it's just everything does have a reason. And at the time that I wrote it, it was almost encouragement just for myself, because there's been ups and downs, but there's everything usually plays out in a way that works towards your vision in a weird way. At least in my experience, everything kind of has fallen into place in a divine way. It's not always easy or convenient, but there's always reasons for the writing on the wall, I guess, and that's kind of what we touched on with that song.
Absolute statement, blanket the cold, God-given feeling, align with what you're told. Listen and follow the cycle where it's sold. Listen and follow. There's reasons for the writing on the wall, reasons for it all. There's reasons for the writing on the wall, reasons for it all. There's reasons for the writing on the wall, reasons for it all. There's reasons for the writing on the wall. The same air writing on the wall, reasons for it all. There's reasons for the writing on the wall, reasons for it all. There's reasons for the writing on the wall, reasons for it all, reasons for the inner voice that calls. There's reasons for the writing on the wall.
So earlier you mentioned that the band was almost kind of a long distance relationship when it started out, and you guys have. How long have you been making music? You know, you and your brother together.
Well, I've been making music since high school, and I was actually doing a lot of electronic music, kind of hip hop stuff.
Yeah.
And Steven, he really was pushing hard to do some kind of acoustic act. I guess like my freshman year of college, and
Got myself a ukulele and was getting with it.
Dude, that's a fun instrument. I play the ukulele.
It was my first string instrument, honestly.
Nice.
yeah, so we were playing around with that, and like it was like really soft, and but eventually I was learning guitar at the time, and we started I started writing more traditional like Americana rock songs, and he picked up the mandolin very shortly after that, and we were kind of like a pretty traditional folk style band, and that's when Brother Oliver was born. And I guess a couple years after that, we kind of got the itch to go a little harder with it and kind of move more towards rock. And it felt a little more fulfilling, I guess.
Well, it's an interesting combination of instruments. I mean, you've got a drum kit. You're an excellent drummer, by the way, Devin.
Thank you.
I enjoyed listening to you play, and
Yes.
with the two of you playing acoustic guitar, Andrew and Stephen on the mandolin, but working with effects and things like that to kind of break the mold for those instruments, because those instruments do sort of have a predetermined mold that they fit into. Most people think of the mandolin in bluegrass or but it's interesting. So what gave you the idea, the inspiration to kind of move in that direction?
Well, it has kind of organically gone there, but for me, I really like when making art, making music, taking tools and creating something that you might not expect with it.
Sure.
Because it just kind of, when you're breaking that mold right from the get-go, I think it sets you off on a good foot to really do something unique and something that might not have been done to that extent.
In a saturated, go for it, Devin.
Yeah, it's a fresh sound, that's for sure. Like, around Greenville, and like I've always been like a heavy drummer, and that's one thing I noticed when I first played with Andrew is like it was just I was trying to like tear apart my drum kit and take things away and just start really simple, and that's like it's still kind of heavy, but it's still grooving, and
Yeah, for sure.
it's definitely a lot of fun. I know that.
You're a very high energy drummer.
Oh yeah,
I
freak out
when we get on stage. We have acoustic instruments, so I love surprising them a little bit with the high energy, and we have some softer songs too. We're not just like a nonstop roller coaster, but it's really fun. I really like where we are sonically right now.
Yeah, I mean it is a surprise too, because the first time I saw you, I was like, oh, there's another acoustic band in the upstate, and then you guys brought it, man. It was intense. It was impressive. So
In a saturated music industry and local scene, I think it's important for bands to try to reach out and do something different.
Just experiment.
Yeah,
and break free from.
We've done a lot of experimenting, some good and some bad, but I mean that's making art. So
for sure. Well, we had a couple more songs. What's this next one?
This next one is called "Where's My Tie." It's something I wrote when I was working 6 days a week when I first moved down here. I was having trouble sleeping, and I guess it kind of embodies some of the paranoia and the I guess OCD and all of that was going on during all that. Yeah, anxiety. There's a lot of anxiety in the song, but it's a release for me. It was I came to grips with a lot writing this song. So.
shadow in the corner has eyes. 4 in the morning, might as well turn off the alarm clock. 5 in the morning, it's time to pretend I'm alive.
So, I figured out why your name is Brother Oliver. It's 2 brothers with the last name Oliver.
You know, it works out.
It works out. The math is very simple there. But how did you guys meet all together? Like, how did the band, as it is now, kind of form?
Well, it's a funny story. I was looking for a drummer at the time. The drummer I had, he had to part ways for different reasons. And I had a jam, like an audition set up with this guy. And when I showed up to the space to play with him, Devin was there on the drums. So, I didn't know who he was. And the guy I was supposed to be auditioning, he's like, I guess he didn't want to do it. I guess he wanted to play guitar that day. And Devin was like, I'll just play. And
it took everything for him to get me out there because it was in Traveler's Rest, and I was like not wanting to do it. But if I wouldn't have done it, then I'd never been in the band. So, but it kind of just clicked.
But
there's reasons for the writing on the wall, man.
Yeah, it's my goats. But yeah, so I remember, and then he hit me up on Facebook and asked me to if I wanted to play a show. And
in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was like a week. And he's like, I was like, cool, how many songs we playing? I figured it'd be like 3. He'd be like, oh, we got about 8. And I was like, in a week? Yeah, sure, why not? I guess I'll do it. Yeah. But that was pretty cool. And we played a good show.
Songs. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, we got it down.
Then we played a second show alone. Right, because that was the Mojo show.
Right.
Without Steven.
Yeah, Steven was still in school.
And I
missed
real
you.
mad
It's
up
okay.
north, just not.
Yeah, we're just sending Steven pictures.
Missing out on all the good
Look what
stuff.
you're missing out, going to school.
It was a good time.
Doing some book learning.
But, yeah, it's worked out.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's something like it you don't get tired of it, Like most things, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, I love when things happen like that.
Yeah, for a reason. It's like fate. Isn't that what fate is?
Yeah, the
That's
fact
fate.
that you were just
That's
there
fate.
and
Okay.
ended up being the man for the job.
Yeah, and it's something like, because you get burnt out on a lot of things, and like with this band, I know, like, because I've played in bands, and I know with this band, like, I won't be able. It's impossible to get burnt out on it.
That's cool.
It's too new and too much fun. Like, especially like creating stuff with these guys. It's on a different planet, dude.
The needle finds the groove. Right?
Yeah, dude, it's awesome.
Heck yeah.
Well, so what's the songwriting process, the creation process like? Among the three of you, everybody's pointing at Andrew.
I mean, I do write most of the songs, but I don't write their parts, So I bring them a song, and sometimes it's an incomplete song, so I'll be like, I'm working with this. What do you guys think? And then they start playing, and they start, finding parts, and usually, almost all the time, the parts come together, and it comes together fast. So that makes me feel good about the band. Just feel like mentally we're all in a good place.
Yeah,
that literally like happened today. Like, he was playing a song. He's like, "This is the first song I ever wrote," and I was like, "Well, why haven't I heard this?" And I was like, and then we were just down here playing it on the couch, and I was like, "Well, let's just go up there and see if we can do it." And it was like perfect, and
really good.
we did the whole song right there. And
it's so nice when like everything just kind of fits.
Yeah, I almost cried. It was gorgeous.
I saw a tear in that eye.
When Devin cries,
Yeah, dude.
It's beautiful.
You know it's real. it's like I'm one of those single tear guys, like, so there's still one tear.
Right. Well, so where do you each of you, this is for everybody, where do you kind of draw inspiration from when you're like, where does your brain go when you're playing, when you're jamming and writing new stuff, or when you're,
I think the best feeling is like when you're just not thinking. And like when you're just not even there, like it's not like it's like you don't even know what you're doing.
Kind of zen.
Yeah, you're just like completely like out there and lost. Is like the best. Yeah, dude, it's the best feeling.
Getting caught in the energy of the song and really like floating in between the layers. Like, to me, that's when I'm honed in. It's just like, I don't know. It just feels right. Yeah.
When I look at Andrew and he's doing his like.
His little head bob.
Yeah, it's like
little mouth open,
smiling
head bob.
face, like rocking his head back and forth. That's always the best.
Yeah, I usually, when it's right, my eyes are shut, and I can kind of see everything. Yeah, I can see the music in that moment. We have those moments a lot too.
It's a great feeling, man.
It's a beautiful thing.
You're beautiful.
Not as beautiful as Devin's mustache.
Well, Steven, we haven't heard a lot from you. I mean, what about you? Where do you kind of, what's your philosophy on writing new stuff, or just kind of?
For me, honestly, I think that me and Andrew growing up very closely, we were actually homeschooled, and we spent a lot of time like together. Oftentimes we shared in hobbies, and I think for me, the songwriting process is best when him and me are just playing with each other, experimenting with the chords, and we'll oftentimes piece together like some really good stuff as a duo, and then we'll come through and we'll put the whole band together. And honestly, like I don't know, like it's just really good when me and Andrew can get together, get a song down, because we're always together, He'll come through my house more than I even want him there, but
his studio is actually there, so like I'm coming to work. Okay, obviously.
Like, my house is also
I roll
his
in
studio.
at 6 in the morning.
And he'll come in and he'll just wake me up.
But the day's half over, man. It's 7 a.m.
Yeah, I'm trying to sleep in. He's like, bro,
What'd you party last night?
Yeah, no, it's that work. No, it's really good. And I don't know. I think me and Andrew's relationship shows through the band really well, and I think that's really, I don't know.
I can honestly say, like, me and my brother are as close as them, And I always said, like, dude, I've never met any other brothers like me and you when I'm talking to my brother, until I met these guys, and it's literally the same thing. Like, just growing up, we were real tight. And
sure. Well, I mean, it's when you have. I mean, family ends up being on the same wavelength, whether you like to admit it or not.
Oh yeah, man. And you see it a lot in bands too. Like they click so well because of that.
You end up becoming close friends, and it becomes like family. I'm the same way with my brother. So we have a very similar wavelength about a lot of things. What's the age difference?
2 years.
I'm 2 years older, so Steven's.
Yeah.
It's a little bit young.
I'm the grandpa of the band. I'm 25.
And you're all young, man.
I'll be your dad.
21.
Hence said mustache, like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, Devin got the mustache.
He's got the
recently.
dad
That
stash.
was,
He's working it.
that
Yeah,
was
dude.
by popular vote of the band. We
Yeah,
decided
they told me to. And
That was-
it's worked out. Now I look at old pictures and it's like weird where they go to.
Yeah, the
You
mustache
like a
was
sweater vest.
Yeah, it gives me like +5 like dad agility points,
Argyle
like
sweaters.
+5 like breakfast skills, marinating, you know, stuff like that.
Just roll a
Seasoning
D20.
skills
Yeah,
off
dude.
the chain.
So earlier when we were just kind of hanging out, you mentioned a weird musical background, like something like not listening to music until you were 16.
Well, we were raised in a very conservative Christian household, and I'm not ungrateful for that, but like they were pretty strict on us growing up, my parents, and it's helped us a lot. It's, a lot of that discipline has really helped me, but we weren't allowed to listen to a lot of music. Like, we weren't allowed to listen to anything with drums. That was kind of like the standard. So, I grew up basically.
Hey, look,
Yeah.
I mean, the drums are pounding out the march straight to hell.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I was like, they told me when Andrew said, like, yeah, I've never really listened to music. Although you did get me hooked on Maynard Ferguson.
Right.
Yeah, it
Well,
was like your trumpet.
Andrew
instructor
was
and stuff.
actually he was taking trumpet lessons, and he had
He's
a
an amazing trumpet
fantastic trumpet
Oh,
teacher.
dude, I play trumpet too.
And
Oh, cool.
Well,
And-
what happened was,
Can we get a duet going?
Start a ska band.
Let's duet, guys.
what happened was, I had a private trumpet instructor from the age 13, onward.
Jeff Ayers.
Yeah, his name was Jeff Ayers.
Shout
Really
out.
great teacher. Taught me a lot. But he would send me home with CDs every week, just kind of listen to different trumpet players. It was jazz CDs, like Maynard Ferguson, Dizzy Gillespie,
Wynton Marsalis.
yeah, Wynton Marsalis. So classic stuff. And so that was kind of like my first exposure to, music with drums. And so I was like, this sounds amazing. Like, I was getting into it. And I started to turn on the radio a little bit and just listening to music. So I kind of had like a late start with like my listening, so while my friends were listening to, like top 40 music, I was listening to like 60s and 70s jazz. So I don't know how that affected me, but
It makes you cooler than your friends.
Yeah, dude. Because like, meanwhile, like I'm like jumping up and down on my bed listening to "Enemy of the State" by Blink, getting my ass beat for saying the F word in the house. So like, that's what really shocked me. Is like, I was like, no way, man. And then like my dad went and bought me another copy of that album when my mom threw it away. So that was pretty cool.
Well, so what's the songwriting process for you like?
Well, usually I kind of wait for the right moment. I'll lyrically, I'll have different phrases, different, chorus hooks kind of come to my head, and I'll write them down.
Yeah. What do you kind of draw from? I mean, is it just personal experience, day to day life, or do you want more like tell stories or?
I'm kind of introspective in a way, not to like sound like bragging or anything, but a lot of times I'm trying to bring up like, like spiritual thought, like trying to stimulate, break down like worldviews and preconceived kind of thoughts, and just kind of try and bring my listeners into a place where they're thinking in angles they might not have previously thought of. Not that I have like amazing revelations to share, but like I like things that kind of go off the beaten path a little bit.
Sure.
Like take a different look at something from a different angle. Maybe it's not always, the way we just assume it to be.
And see, that's what's really crazy. Oh, sorry, Steven. But that's what's really crazy is like that he didn't get to listen to that stuff as a kid. So he was like, when he comes out with like, when Brother Oliver plays, like he writes the songs, it's like him, there's not a whole lot of influences in there besides like trumpet players and like other stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And,
I got into bands, shortly after that.
I didn't know that.
I was really
You
into
didn't tell me anything.
Death Cab for Cutie. I still am. Death Cab for Cutie, Ben Gibbard's. I tried to like mimic his voice a lot when I was younger, and then I got into a lot of other stuff. I really like the band Dawes and kind of the heartfelt songwriting that they bring to the table, and I guess you could combine those two and throw in a little old school jazz, and then you'll have my influences.
This next song, how did it come about?
Well, it's called Coffee and a Cigarette, and I actually wrote it in a storage closet when I was in college because it was the only place I could play by myself and get away from everyone. But But yeah, I mean, the chorus is living off of coffee and dying off a cigarette, and I feel like a lot of us can relate to that.
I like that.
Word.
It's basically life and how people get through it. And coffee and a cig can be your coffee and a cig. You know, it's not necessarily a coffee and a cigarette.
But,
You know, everyone has their own coffee.
Oh, I know what you mean. That's pretty cool.
Lost in the silence, chasing a soul that wanders about, hoping to find it. 'Cause I'm feeling too old, chasing around. I stare through these eyelids, hoping that the darkness reveals what each night fight it. When I still wake up, these memories are there by my side. So I keep a living on coffee, dying on cigarette. Living on coffee and dying on cigarette. Trapped in this body, locked up inside, I am bound up in chains. The world just forgot me. Feel like heading to the tracks, go lay down for a train. Not a lot of good things about me, I know. At least when you tell me, won't you look me in the eye? No life to copy, I realize, but I know that if you did, you'd be surprised at what you'd find. Then I keep a living off coffee, dying off cigarette. Living off coffee and dying off cigarette. I put this to song, hoping my mind would be clear. I play for my soul, I've never played for my ears. And when I pray to the Lord, I simply pray that He hears. That same old song I've been singing for. So I keep a living off coffee, dying off cigarette. Living off coffee and dying off cigarette. So I keep a living off coffee and dying off cigarette. Living off coffee and dying off cigarette.
So what's next for Brother Oliver?
But what's next for Brother Oliver? Hopefully good things. We just recorded a record. And
What's that called?
the name of the record, if I had to tell you right now, it would probably be self-titled. I think it's going to be self-titled Brother Oliver, but that could change. We're releasing early this summer, and we've been working really hard on that. We're playing a lot of regional dates up until then, and then we're going on tour in August. So hopefully good things come.
It's taken so long.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it's really cool though, because we don't have to deal with a studio. Like we can just
Good stuff
records
takes
everything,
time.
and we can just do it at our own pace, and it just works out.
Right. This will be the third full length from Brother Oliver, and I feel like third time's a charm. I've learned a lot from the last two records, and I mean, I feel like I've put my finger on, really the sound I've that we've been shooting for, and I feel like we kind of got it with this third one. You know, whether or not people like it or not, I mean, that's yet to be seen. But I mean, I like it, and I think these guys like it. That's really important to me. So yeah, I mean, we've taken our time because you know I want it to be right, and that's really important to me. But yeah, it's gonna be out this year, and we're really excited to share it.
Cool. I'm looking forward to that. And so it'll be out this summer?
Yep. We're releasing a song next month as well. The first single off the record.
Obviously, you got some goals with it. I mean, what do you get out of it? Like, what is it? What's the reward for you personally?
I mean, I find incredible fulfillment. I mean, I guess writing the songs is really the number one thing for me. That's very fulfilling when we, you know, fully flesh something out and really create something that's beautiful to us. But as far as you know, the band moving forward, it's a baby, you know, it's our baby, and I love to nurse it. I'd like to do this for a living very soon. I've given everything just about for this. I quit my job for it earlier this year, and
wow.
You know, I eat those cans
step.
of black beans for dinner. So, I mean, I enjoy the struggle though too. It's not a sob story. I love it, every minute of it. And so
many people just wake up, go to work, go to sleep, and do it again,
which is fine.
And we only have a little bit of time on Earth.
Yeah, we're trying to make a run with it for sure.
Especially touring too. I mean, I'm trying to go to Spain, dog. That's gonna be tight. Out on them beaches.
The rain in Spain.
Nah, but like touring and like, you know, it's kind of like a vacation if you think about it.
Sure.
Especially when you like, I mean, we work. You know, me and Steven and Andrew works his.
I would
ass
love
off
to be
too,
able to quit
but,
my
like,
job
you know,
coming 18.
Yeah, but like, I mean, it's just touring is probably and playing shows. I mean, it's too much fun. Plus, you usually get free booze most of the time.
That's always a perk.
Yeah, but I mean, it's always fun, and you rarely. I've like known this just from playing for so many years. Is like it's hard to find people you connect with, like on a musical level, you know, and it's just happen to find these two dudes.
Yeah, we don't have to bite our tongues.
Two Yankees, dude.
Yeah, these two Yankees. Devin's our Southern boy.
Damn Yankees.
Yeah. He's a good old Southern boy.
Papa D.
Papa D in the house.
Put in them plugs. I'm sorry. I'll stop. We're having a good time.
So the last song, Cigarette and Coffee, we did a video for that. We did a video for this one as well. What's this one called? You know, again, looking for a story behind it if you've got one, or, you know, where do you go?
Well, the song's called Prime Lighting, and it's a little bit darker, I guess, compared to some of our other songs. I think it is probably our favorite one to play.
A lot of fun, dude.
Super
fun.
It's really fast. The kind of catch line in it is there's ash and there's sackcloth at the foot of the shrine, but the camera was ready and the lighting was prime. So basically, the image in my head writing it, you know, there's, you know, ash and sackcloth was something in the Bible that people would use when they were mourning and despair. They'd rub the ash on their skin and wear sackcloth. And so I really just had this vision, like there's ash and sackcloth at the foot of this shrine, but nobody cares because like the lighting was prime, the production was going. Kind of just a shot at the mainstream and mainstream politics a little bit, just how flashy things are and how much, you know, goes into productions, but yet there's still just so much suffering and there's so many people that are neglected. So I guess it's a little political.
Yeah, maybe cultural overall, it seems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it also goes into entertainment and what we're doing as well. Like, you know, we're struggling. A lot of artists are hurting, but they're the ones putting themselves out there, you know, in front of the flashing lights. And a lot of times it's not what it seems. It takes a lot to share this kind of stuff. And I guess it's just from that whole perspective of the other side of things.
It's a lot of fun to play. I think I said that twice now. But like, well, yeah, it's a lot of fun to play.
It is fun to play.
No, I like to close my eyes sometimes and think like we're in a bank robbery or something like that. That's what I like about the song.
Yeah,
it's like
pretty
you
intense.
just close your eyes
It's
when you're
intense.
listening to it and pretend you're like driving away with a bunch of money and there's a bunch of cops behind you.
Hell yeah.
That definitely works.
1, 2, 3, 4. offends you, don't cut off mine. If your right hand has failed you, why even try? There's action, there's sackcloth at the foot of the shrine. The camera was ready and the lighting was bright. I'm not an actor, but I do act sometimes. Like an ancient scoop raider running out of his mind. There's ash and there's sackcloth at the foot of the shrine. But the camera was ready, the lighting was bright. I followed instruction right down to a T. Now everyone's happy, everyone but me. There's ash and there's sackcloth at the foot of the shrine. The camera was ready, the lighting was bright.
I really enjoyed having you guys on the show. Thanks so much for coming out. Or
Yeah, man.
Thanks for
having
having
me
us.
out.
We appreciate you coming
Well,
out.
it was the other way around. I came out to you.
Yeah. I told him, like, I was like, man, we should buy steaks and cook them, but he told me no. Dude, he's so strict, I swear. I can't have any fun.
Where's the metronome at?
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what happens.
Thanks for having us, Mark.
Yeah,
Fun.
it was
a good
really
time.
Fun.
Cool guy.
No, I really
Always
enjoyed it,
welcome.
and I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to the things that are coming out from you guys because you're talented and you've got some determination, which I admire and respect greatly. And so I'm definitely looking forward to the stuff you got coming out this summer.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate the kind words.
Thank you.
So do you guys have any shows coming up? What's on the calendar?
Yeah, we're playing at the Spinning Jenny in Greer on February 24th. It's a Friday for anyone in the upstate. And we also are playing in Atlanta at Smith's Old Bar on March 2nd.
Oh, nice. Getting out of town a little bit.
Yeah, and we're also playing March 3rd at Pablo in Clemson. So
Sweet.
If you're in the area, we'd love to meet you and come hang out with you. And
It's going to be fun.
Where can people find you online? Talking like where can people stream your music, social media, all that kind of stuff.
yeah, everything's kind of hubbed at brotheroliver.com. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/brotherolivermusic. And our records are, on most places, iTunes, Spotify, all the major ones, you can find them.
Sweet.
And yeah, we got new music coming out in the very near future as well. So keep an eye out for that.
Well, to all the listeners of this show, make sure you check out Brother Oliver everywhere you can find him. Again,
We'll be there.
iTunes, Spotify, they'll be there. Yeah. This show is, of course, available on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and all the podcast platforms you can find us. You can also just go to bit.ly/Hoodoo Music Podcast. That's where you can find links to all the social media, the streaming links, even RSS links if you can't find it. You can also find the videos from these episodes at bit.ly/HoodooTube, like YouTube, but with a little bit more hoodoo.
Hoodoo.
Of course, you can also follow this show on Facebook, like the page, share the posts with your friends, and you can follow me on Twitter at Mark Jones Audio. Until next time, thank you so much for listening to the Hoodoo Music Podcast.
Lay that hoodoo music all night long.